Now I have to ask you this. Personal growth is important to all of humanity. Isn't that true? Everybody wants to grow. Nobody wants to stay the same. There's something on the inside of us that says, even the most prideful person says, yeah, I like who I am pretty much, like 90%. But there's a little bit of me maybe that changes, that needs to change, right? You know, the rest of us who are like aware of our weaknesses and sinfulness and always say, oh, Lord, there's so much you need to do in my heart. Isn't that what we say? But most people are aware that there needs to be some sort of change. There needs to be some sort of personal growth. And spiritually, it's no different. We are aware that we need to grow spiritually. That's the goal in Christianity. Does everybody agree with that? But to get to maturity in the faith is really interesting. Spiritual maturity can sometimes seem like a random destination that you don't ever know if you'll get to, right? And then after a few years, it's just like we just claim it. I'm spiritually mature because it's like I've been a Christian for so long. If I'm not, I feel bad. You know, so it's like, it's just something like we just claim it after a while. It reminds me of, but it's a journey, and it reminds me of a trip we took a few months back. My wife was in Brazil, and the kids and I decided we were going to go surprise her, and she knew we were coming, but we flew in, and we were going to this place on the coast. We flew into Sao Paulo, and we said we're going to rent a car, and we're going to go to the coast. And the trip was supposed to be an hour away. Okay, and we got to the rental car company, and I told them where I was going. They pulled up everything. I should have known then because they all started snickering and kind of like looking at each other. And they said, where are you going? I said, Santos. And they all started looking at each other and smiling and laughing. They were snickering, and I thought, what am I missing? It's pretty easy. I've already Googled it. I've looked it up. I've got the maps on my phone here, downloaded it so I wouldn't have to use data when I got to this country, right? I got a map. They said, should I get the GPS? And they looked at me and they said, sure, get the GPS. I was like, this is interesting. So I got the GPS. And do you know, they shook my hand on the way out and said, good luck. Just like that. Now you look, I mean, I rent cars wherever we go to many countries. I rent cars when we go to countries. I don't mind. I figure out the laws, the rules, whatever. I rent a car and we do what we need to do. But this time it was sort of eerie. And my kids and I got in the car and I said, well, let's just pray. And we started praying, you know, and it was an hour trip. But what I didn't realize is all the things that would happen to me along the way. I didn't see it coming. It was easy. MapQuest was clear. Google Maps was obvious. But let me tell you, there was no way for MapQuest to let me know about all of the tolls, about all of the traffic, about all of the policemen that I found along the way who would stop you and just randomly ask questions. You don't understand what they're saying. About the language barrier, about the unmarked roads, about the trucks, just gravel trucks everywhere. And the funny thing about it, after about 30 minutes of traveling, we got way up in the mountains and we could see it off in the distance. We could see the beach off in the distance. It was in the distance, but we were going parallel to it. There was a lot of winding and twisting that had to happen before we got there. And I thought to myself, I don't know if we're ever going to get here. And I had to stop and I had to talk to people, and I was worried and I was stressed out. And we went one place and had to turn around. There was misdirection, and there was so much happened. That hour-long trip turned into almost 3 hours. And finally, when I got there, people looked at me, and the person at the hotel looked at me, and he said, where'd you come from? Sao Paulo. He said, how did you get here? I said, I drove. He said, congratulations. And he shook my hand just like that. He said, because he realized you'd done something. You made it. You know, and I thought, man, if I had only known what it was going to take in order for me to get here, I don't even know if I would have come. But don't you know, it's the same in our journey towards maturity spiritually. You're going to go through a lot of things that people don't tell you about in the beginning. Jesus tried to tell you. You said, Lord, thank you. You're going to take away the isolation and the loneliness. Jesus said, wait a minute. They persecuted me. They're going to persecute you. And he said, but Lord, you're going to help my way be smooth and my path be straight. Many are the trials of the righteous, but I'm going to deliver you out of them. Like he's trying to tell us along the way what's going to happen, but you can't hear it because your eyes are full of stars of all the good promises in the scripture. And the Lord said, that's going to happen, but all this other stuff is what I'm going to have to step in and do in order to get you there. See, Jesus has to step in and help us to get there. in our journey towards maturity.